Wicked. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Trying to Get Jack podcast. We
We
got
got
another fun person here today.
we got
Yeah,
Zeus
hi
over
guys.
there.
My name is Zeus. It's actually Ganesh. I go by Zeus. Located in Scarborough. I have a gym here that's been open for about 4 years, and yeah, focus a lot on strength training as well as nutrition. And we do strictly personal training, and we have some group training here as well. Yeah.
Bro,
How long?
Kags, where'd you meet Ganesh, bro?
Yo, so
Give some
Ganesh,
sauce. Yeah.
so I've been following Ganesh for a very long time on my personal account.
Yeah.
And then even when I started my fitness account last year, he did a fitness barbecue for like he's a Tamil fitness barbecue. And I didn't know anyone there. I was like, yo, fuck it. I've seen this guy for a long time. I'm gonna just go pull up, see what up, go
Yeah.
network. And it was cool. Like I got to meet him. I got to meet a lot of other guys that are also kind of doing the fitness thing in our space. And it was cool to see like a community of Tamil people like getting fit. And I don't think I've ever seen that before, right? So very, very appreciative of you kind of going out of your way to do that and hosting that event. So that's where I met Ganesh. And dude, he's been killing it. He's been training for a very, very long time, training other people for a very long time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, bro?
Yeah, so I actually got my personal training certification back in like 2003. But
Wow.
at that time, it was more for me to learn how to train, not exactly to train others. So I was using it more for learning purposes. I kind of understood how to train from there, and at that time, I was just focusing on heavy lifting, the typical chest and buys, abs, and then I got in more into started playing basketball too, and I wanted to train my legs for that. So for my fitness, like every few years, it changes. I put the focus on other parts. I went from that to trying to doing calisthenics, and now I'm trying to incorporate everything. And I keep what I find actually makes a bigger difference, where I saw the biggest results, and I try to get my clients to apply the same things. So certain things work well for everyone. Certain things it's like for specific people. So depending on what their goals are, cater to that. So yeah, I probably started training people around 2014. This was in Montreal. So I'm actually from Montreal. I moved here about 6, 7 years ago. And so I was training mostly my friends. And then when I moved to Toronto, I got a job here. So part-time, I was training people part-time. Uh, yeah, I started getting clients. I actually I don't know if you know David Villa, but I was training him first. He went through a little transformation, and that kind of got my name out there. So,
That's where I found your stuff.
oh yeah,
With that. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that.
So he's a comedian in our community. He's doing really well, and yeah, he went through a transformation. And then I started getting more clients from that, and I realized I had more clients than the gym I was at, like the owner of the gym I was at, and all his other like coaches combined. So it just made more sense for me to open my own gym. So, fast forward 2 years, Mind and Body Fitness was born probably during COVID. It's the worst timing possible. But at that time, I was doing some online training and still doing some one-on-ones here and there. And yeah, and from there it just grew every year. Last year we had the barbecue where you attended. This year too, trying to do that sometime next week. I haven't posted it yet, but
Oh,
hopefully both
fire.
of you guys could come by if you have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wicked, man. So you've been training yourself for almost 21 years or
Yeah,
22.
a
That's
lot of
rad.
trial and error, but
I
yeah.
don't think Kags, are you that? Yeah, Kags is that old, I
Bro,
think.
I'm like
But
24.
yeah, that's wild.
Damn.
Okay. That's crazy, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's crazy.
And then you've been personal training for almost 10-ish years now. Decade
Yeah,
in the game.
yeah.
Yeah. It's always good perspective wise, bro, because like I left accounting in 2020 and I became a trainer. So I was a full-time accountant, did my CP and everything. And
Wow.
then so only been in the game for like I think like 3-ish years because 2021 is when I technically started and it was like peak COVID time, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know about that gym Project Rise with Chara and
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So that's the word gym I started training at, and I just like shadowed Churn and Mike the whole time for
Okay.
like 2 years, whatever. But I'm only in the game for like 3.5 to 4-ish years, and seeing somebody for like 20 years plus 10 years in personal training always
Yeah.
gives perspective when you see somebody okay has their own gym, because that's what like a trainer when they start they're like, yo, it'd be pretty sick if I had a sick gym, right? Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't they don't they don't see all like the reps behind it. So when you hear okay 20 years in the game, kind of makes sense. This guy
Yeah.
knows a lot of stuff. But yeah, bro, that's wicked. And then this gym now is for one location, and you're still doing online a little bit, or it's all in person now?
So now like my preference is all in person, but I have some
Like,
clients like from Montreal and like other
fire.
parts, but like I make a few exceptions here and there, but my
Sick.
preference has always been in person. I know you guys do online as well, right? Online and in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I actually transitioned out of in person last November.
Oh,
To
okay.
full on, like I had a similar thing where like I not gym hopped, but like I went from gyms to gym of like because I had just my own clients.
Right.
Project Rise, I just have my own clients in every other gym. So it ended up the politics and stuff at every single gym. I got into a weird place where they'd be like, "Hey, can you give us a cut from your online too?" Because they see like me posting. I'm like, "What is happening?" So I was like, "You know what? I'm just do online." You know, it was just getting weird. So I was like, "It's
Yeah,
not."
that's
And
not
then
right.
people, yeah, people just like talk weirdly or whatever. But that's a different topic. It's all about you here. Um, but yeah, bro, tell us. Kags had some really sick questions. I think this will be the most value add, right? So, Kags, what was the biggest thing, like the South Asian, and how do you, deal with a lot of foods that we have in our culture? And I think we can relate, like, Punjabi culture, South Asian culture.
Yeah.
Food is a big thing socially, and that's why barbecue is a sick idea. We were trying to do one too, we just didn't plan one properly.
Yeah, it's
Um,
tough, man. It's tough.
it's tough, right? But like food is something that brings us together, but then
Yeah.
it's also something that brings the health down, and that's why we do what we do,
Right.
right? So what would you say has been like the biggest hurdles per se when like a client comes like, yo, bro, like I need help, uh, you know, to basically get whatever transformation they want to get to.
Yeah, so it's food is always an issue with everyone that
Yeah.
comes here, and there's a lot of confusion out there. So our food, like our culturally, our food could be seen as good and bad. So certain things we shouldn't be eating daily, but we all try to like the typical household eats the same thing pretty regularly. They just change the meat option. And so what I try to get them to do is I don't try to change too much in their diet because that's when I find they give up or they go off and eat things they shouldn't be. So like I try to get them to start off with just start your morning with eggs, a high protein breakfast, keep it simple, and then you could still eat your rice and curry. Then I try to give them things to follow, like try to avoid flour, anything made with flour. And then that's something that's reasonable. So they do that for 30 days, let's say. They start seeing some changes and they like the changes. And then, if I see that they're able to stick to it, we start making more changes and trying to get more strict with the diet if they're able to do it. But at the end, like I try to cater to their lifestyle because like the way things are going now, everyone's busy. They're working two jobs. The kids, like there's also so many different things that interfere with our day-to-day things that we need to do. So adding fitness, sometimes it's the last thing on their mind. So I try to keep it as simple as possible, not try to complicate things. In the beginning, I would try to get them to count calories because that's proven it's going to work, but it's not everyone has the the right, they're not in the right space to do all that. So the ones who can, I always direct them that way. The ones who can't, we keep it simple and try to get them to follow something as small as just eat eggs every morning for the first 30 days, see what changes happen, and then from there we could add to it. So I find that works, that's been working the best lately. Everyone's able to do it. And then I have them, measure their waistline. Don't look at the scale, things you guys probably go through with your clients as well. So when they see the inches go down and they know it's working and they know they just have to make more sacrifices and they get closer and closer to their goals. But in the South Asian community, there's a lot of confusion and a lot of people usually start training when they started having issues like the weight gain is way too much or they're getting comments from other people. It's not something that's at the top of their mind or they don't really put an importance to it. It's always been education, like in every brown culture.
No, bro, 100%. So like education, and I guess that's why we try to do this podcast. And I think me and Kags had a conversation earlier, was
Yeah.
like make it so it's catered towards that. Or like whoever's listening, because we're trainers. If you told us to track calories, we'll track them, right? But
Yeah.
like someone's listening and they're like starting their thing, or they're even midway and they're just like an average goer. They want to be healthier, they want to be fit for their family, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be intimidating, right? That's why a lot of people don't even start. So this is one thing, and again, you probably have a different approach. We probably have different approaches, but kind of come to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
Simplicity always wins. Because if someone can just be like, "Hey, I just have one action item for, Zeus or, Ganesh." Well, I don't know how your clients call you. What? Actually, I want to. Never mind. I'm not gonna switch the topic. I'm curious about Zeus. So, when they ask you like simplicity, right? So, say
Yeah.
for example, first month it's like, hey, let's add eggs, and let's just like measure the waste. That's cool. And then next month maybe you add something to their like dinner or like lunch, whatever it is, or we like cut out eating out from four to like twice, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Um, do you ever notice like clients when they're taking that approach, they ask you, it's like, hey, what can I do more? Like, what else can I do? Like they
Oh
get to
yeah.
their right.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So when is
Every
usually
time.
like that average time of like that person realizing themselves of like, Jesus, like, what else can I do?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Yeah. So it starts out that way. And then every time they come and train, I'll ask them, hey, what did you eat this week? And
Yeah.
then that's when I hear what they're eating. And then I'll try to guide them, like, if you eat this, if you're eating oily foods, it's going to set you back because of this, and this reason. If you were to eat this instead. So like I try to educate them without making it being pushy. And that kind of keeps them accountable too, because now when they're going out, they're ordering things they wouldn't normally order that are healthier, better options. And when you start eating healthier too, you start feeling better. So they're more inclined to make healthier choices later on. But I'd say even after the first training, like when they come for their second session or third session, based on what they ate, I try to add more to it, but like in like a more of a conversational way rather than, this is what you have to do. But usually, yeah, clients do ask themselves like, so far, let's say 3 weeks pass, I see a little difference. Like, what can I do more? That's when I'll say either add something like a low calorie, high protein option. So like tuna is always an easy one, doesn't hurt the wallet, easy to make, quick and easy. And so like certain people will apply it, or I'll even paint a picture like, say you're going on a trip next month. If you want to see the quickest difference in that time before you get to your trip, this is what you need to do. So like it's usually me that pushes it, but not in a forceful way, more of a like dropping the option.
I like that sort of education and knowledge based approach to it. It's like we're trainers, we see all this information all the time. We're like, yo, this is how you're supposed to eat, this is how you're supposed to train. But then when they come in, it's like they don't know that. And in your head, you're seeing it all the time. So you just kind of like, I think some of the reasons I struggled earlier is because I just expected the person to know what I knew. And I was like, oh damn, like this person actually doesn't realize that like paneer is not a good protein source. Or if it's like padipu is not a good protein source. They're like
Yeah.
they've just been told, oh, it's a good protein source. It's like, oh yeah, once you break it down, you just tell them, oh, the numbers on this, they're not very good. And they go, oh, snap. So maybe I wasn't eating the right thing, right? And it's like just in like a conversational way, just like having that conversation with them. It's like telling them that, like, yo, if they add a little bit more protein to their thing, they'll probably feel a lot better. They're gonna not be as hungry later on, right? And it's about like taking that sort of approach. It's like just telling these people, it's like, yo, you don't have to like cut out everything. But just adding little things to your plate, or like you said, just educating them is gonna go a long way in making sure they understand why they do it. It's like they're not usually doing it because they know it's bad for them. They're usually doing it because they don't know it's bad for them, right? And it's been adding up. Once they have that knowledge, it goes a long way, right? And I think in our culture, like you said, the importance of like education, getting a good job, and everything else, and like even as like when our parents or grandparents, whoever came here as immigrants, their first thing was to just grind and work and grind and work and put food on the table. They didn't really have the time or energy to think about that, right? And I think as we get older now, we see those sort of consequences in their health where they're dealing with things like cholesterol and diabetes and obesity and heart problems and high blood pressure. I want to ask you this. Say someone's parents are going through that, maybe they want to get in shape or maybe they don't know. How would you sort of go about getting someone's parents involved? I'm sure clients that come to you, they're like, yo, my parents are wanting to get in shape. I think they need it. How do you kind of go about that conversation?
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, fitness is definitely not something at the top of their mind when we're thinking about our like parents or grandparents. So whenever a client brings it up, I usually don't turn it into like a client situation. I just tell them, get your parents to just, sit on a chair and stand up, sit on a chair and stand up, like, try to do it in like this amount of times, and just to try to get them to strengthen their legs, because a lot of times the problem starts from the feet up. And if they strengthen their legs, it eliminates a lot of possible issues later on too. And if they already have issues, it could help strengthen their knees. So like I do train a few people that are like seniors, for example. I have a few that I train and they actually improve pretty quickly. Like you would think it's like a lot of the things are challenging, but we work around that. And we try to get them mainly to focus on leg strength and core strength. And that's probably what makes the biggest difference. So I try to simplify it. Like they don't have to go to a gym. They don't need to lift weights, but they're at home, just sitting on a chair, standing up, sitting down. Like that's using their legs more. If they're using staircase, going up and down, small things like that that they could do at home. They don't need to get a gym membership or, make it too complicated for them. And sometimes the kids will actually pay for the parents to come train here. And when they come to train here, same thing, we keep it very simple. We do pretty much have them do what they're able to. And then slowly, there's still a progressive overload, like throw in some weights in there. And surprisingly, they're able to do it and they just keep getting stronger. And then next thing you know, they don't have trouble going up the stairs. They don't have the same back pain or knee pain as they used to. So it's all about strengthening because as you guys probably know, every year the body gets weaker. We lose muscle mass after a certain point. So you want to maintain that as long as you can. And best way is strength training and high protein diet. So they're very receptive. Like when I tell them this is what needs to be done, they usually listen. Whereas, younger clients, it's harder to manage that. But yeah, I've seen some good results. So usually I will just say, this is what you can do at home. And then they'll either follow it, but a lot of times they won't listen because it's their kids telling them. So that's where it gets complicated. Yeah. Do you guys deal with seniors too?
We have a couple. Like I think when I was in person, it was more, and it was exactly like you said. Like I think this is almost like a cool thing for somebody listening, even if they're older or like they can tell their parents this. It's like the fitness or like the progress is much closer than they think it is. Because I think like parents get intimidated, right? It's like, I know, yo, you go to the gym 17 hours a week, whatever it is. Like I don't have time for all that. Like I don't want to do all that. It's too much work. But like you said, literally just sitting up and down on a couch. I put like a little like pull-up bar at the entrance of the house, and I just put a band on it. I told my dad during COVID time, it's like, yo, just do pull aparts, just do band pull aparts, right? Or just do like put your body through the band. I put like two black bands in there and just try doing a push up, right, with the band assisted, things like that, and like it just again, they start to feel it really, really quick, like you said.
Mm.
So I think that's almost like a really good thing where it's not that far away as they think. Because like they're training for more like just day to day. Like, can they sit without pain? Can they carry stuff without like grip giving out? And then can they like go up and down the stairs without like knees hurting? Right? So you do step ups and like that squat and then like maybe carry some heavy stuff. Like life would like amazingly change. And like they don't care about aesthetics, right? So it's small almost, and then thing is some of the older people they might start like, oh, damn, I see something, I see some bicep. Uh, throw in some other cool stuff in there too. But I agree with that. I have a question on that though. So I think you ended it off like it gets complicated when they don't listen,
Mm.
right? And I think majority of the parents are in that department where they're stubborn a little bit, where they know, okay, they got to take care of their health, and like, they're like, I got this doctor's appointment, they're prescribing me more pills, whatever, and they're willing to go through that doctor's appointment for an hour, and then the whole prescription, they give you everything. They're able to do all of that. But when their kid tells them, it's like, hey, like, just do some band pull aparts or sit up and down. They're like, hey, what do you know, right? They're gonna trust the doctor more. So how would you like have that conversation if like the client is like, hey, bro, like my parent, they're not ready to like make a change in their fitness, but I know for a fact if they don't, it's gonna keep going sideways and they're gonna keep popping these pills because they're really stubborn, and that's how our parents are because
Yeah.
they've worked so hard, like Kags was saying, like they're in their way a lot of times. So how would you maybe frame it in a way where like, hey, if you're stubborn, stubborn parent, what's the conversation look like to start moving them in the right direction?
That's a tough one because
Yeah,
yeah, if they don't listen, it has to be an outside voice, someone else to tell them. So
yeah,
if I tell them like worst case scenario, you can have them call me, or you could bring them here. And but not every trainer has the option to do that. But like because I have my own space, I'll tell them, you could bring them here. They could see how it's like. If they're comfortable, they could start. If they're not, I'll tell them what they could do at home. And that way it's a start. But even then, it's tough to even get them to
Yeah.
listen to the kids. But yeah, it's a good question. How yeah, I think that's the only possible option I could think of.
Yeah.
You guys have any ideas on that?
I think one of the best things that's worked for myself and a couple of my clients is like when my clients start seeing results and when they start feeling better. Like I'm working with a 60-year-old woman right now, and she only started because I coached her son last year, and his son got great results. And then when I got on the call with her, she's like, my son has been telling me to get in shape, and like my arthritis is getting bad, this is getting bad. And he's like, I saw good results with this. And he's like, he was really pushing me to do it. And it's like, I think it's just the power of seeing someone go through that transformation, where it's like, if your client can start feeling stronger, start feeling better, start like making that positive change in their life, then your parent is going to look at you and be like, oh, damn, my son actually lost 20, 30 pounds and is looking good and is feeling good.
Yeah.
Maybe what he's saying, like, it actually makes sense, right? Like, even for my dad, when I started getting in shape, my dad like looked at me. He's like, "Oh, damn, this guy actually like lost the weight and he actually looks good now." He's like, "Maybe I should like try and go to the gym or like go walk or whatever." Now my parents go on walks. My grandma's downstairs every morning. I go downstairs. I'm like, "Yo, did you walk today? What's going on?" Like watching an Adams, and then she'll look at me. She's like, "Yeah, I went on a walk today." Today she didn't. So I'm like, "Yo, are you gonna go on a walk?" And like sometimes I'll go with her, but it's like I think when we're talking to our parents, we also have to walk the walk or do the thing that we're supposed to do. And that way it actually gets them to realize, like, oh, like my kid can do it and he's telling me to do it and he's seeing results with it. I'm probably going to see results too. And the thing that you said earlier, it's like they see results a lot faster because their baseline is so low. It's like
Yeah.
when they go out for a couple walks, they're gonna realize like by the end of the week, it's like, oh wow, my knees actually hurt less. I feel much better. And it's like, I think getting your client, explaining to your clients, like, yeah, you can tell them, but like how much better is it gonna be if you go out, lose 20 pounds and then tell them? They're probably be a lot more likely to believe you, right? So that's one of the things I tell everyone. It's like if you want your parents to get in shape, I think there's a merit of you also getting in shape first and then telling them while you're doing that whole process. And then it's like, then it clicks for them. It's like, oh, he's telling me this and it's supposed to get me this. He's telling me this and he also did this. So it probably makes sense for me to go and do the thing, right? That's one of the things where I think has worked for a lot of the people I work with. If they ask, like, well, I'm trying to get my parents in shape, say, okay, let's get you in shape. And then you can be in a position to tell your parents to also help get them in shape as well. But like you said, they also have to be receptive to that, right? They can't just be like, oh, it's my kid, it's my kid. I'm not gonna listen to you. But I think
Yeah.
most people when they see results, like, oh damn, what have you been doing? And they tend to listen, right?
Yeah, leading by example, right? That's what you're basically doing. That's awesome. So like I would say I relate to that 5,000%. So I've been like lifting or whatever since like 2013, 14-ish. And then like, lifting for a while. And then in 2020 when I finally like moved back home, I used to live in Guelph for accounting, university, all that stuff. And then when I moved back home during COVID time and I left accounting, they saw my routine and I would just like, make a smoothie in the morning, have like my chicken and rice. Even right now, I was just joking. My mom and her friend are like sitting outside and like her friend got her samosa, right? And like I literally yesterday made like she's been asking for like a meal structure. It's like what foods do I eat? And like I made her oatmeal. I made her all these things, and I was like, hey, like this is easy. You just like microwave 90 seconds, put protein powder, mix it. And then the next day I come in and like the samosa in the house, right? So it's always funny, but I think the biggest thing I noticed in 2020 when I started making that smoothie, being in the regiment, dad was like, yo, can you make me a little bit more smoothie? I was like, yeah, sure. Mom was like, yo, can I jump in on the smoothie too? So like you just like sneaking it in a little bit by you doing it, and then they're eventually like receptive to it, right? Even the push-up stuff, because like COVID time, I used to do pull-ups on like my branch outside, tree branch, and then I used to just rip it there, like push-ups, and then whatever, and record it. And my dad was like, yo, what are you doing, bro? Like this guy's a monkey. I was like, yo, join me, and then he would just like walk around the backyard while I'm doing like pull-ups or whatever, right? So that time everyone was home, whatever, but now is the other side where once they fall off, then it's hard to get them back. So now, like my parents on the other side, where like they were doing good, 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 but now like it's going backwards a little bit. So I'm in the same place of like trying to figure out how to get them to listen again because now they're like holy shit, yo, this guy's always doing this. It's never ending, right? So they had that kick of like motivation. So now I'm at that point of figuring it out too. But I think one of the best ways is to lead by example. And that's a good transition to Ganesh, bro. I see your Instagram profile. You're a kid, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about like I think Cax was asking this before too, but like how does that change in terms of your health, fitness, and like what does that mean in terms of your own goals for physique or like how you do your training by having a kid? Does it change anything, or like how do you approach anything differently now?
Yeah, it actually did change a lot because I'm making better decisions, like health decisions. Like I'm not drinking as much. Like it's not something that's important to me. Here and there, I'll still have a drink or two, but
Yeah.
it's not like before. But yeah, his name is Adiran. He's 3. So like when I bring him to the gym, I don't tell him, you have to do this, this, and this. I'll just start working out in front of him, and he'll try to like try certain things, or he'll just play. Like it doesn't always work. It depends on like where his mind focuses on. But
Yeah.
I did notice that like he's more active than some of the other kids I've seen his age. So like that's always nice. And because I post him, like I get like videos from other parents like sending to me like they're like going on monkey bars, hanging, running, like all kinds of things. It's pretty impressive when you see like kids that young trying to do certain things. And I also train kids too. Like I have
Okay.
one that's 8 years old, 11 years old, and I even talk to them like as if they're adults too. Like I don't treat them like as kids. The workout itself is pretty much the same. Like they're doing certain reps, certain sets. They're not really using weights, a lot of body weight stuff, but they're very capable, and they start seeing changes even faster because of the at that young age, any kind of training you do, it body changes like that. Whereas for us, it might take a little. Oh, for me, I'm a little older, but it'll take a little longer. I have to be more careful with my diet. Where versus seeing kids that young, they don't really put a focus on food, but they'll get the results real fast. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say it's nice. It's pretty impressive seeing kids that aren't even trying to eat healthy get in shape so quick.
Yeah.
And so anyone like it's good also because a lot of parents nowadays they put their kids in like a lot of sports like soccer, basketball, like everything's available to us. Strength training is not it's not that important at a young age, but it could help. It translates to certain sports too. So like that's why the things I have my son doing is more like hanging, running, maybe like push-ups, but that's always going to be a challenge, especially in the beginning. But simple things like that, no weights, and yeah, basically it.
But it's not like you're going in there, you're writing on the whiteboard, you're like, yo, we're doing this today. I don't care if you're 3 years old, this is what we're doing. It's more like he's coming in and he's watching you work out and he's like, he wants to do it. He's curious about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like he'll jump on the treadmill and run, and that itself is like it's the curved treadmill. So the faster you go, the faster it turns. So he'll use that on his own. Like he hasn't even seen me do it, but certain things he'll do himself, but other things I'll try to like do it in front of him so he gets inspired or gets interested, and it works. It works. So like let's say to every parent, I would probably say try to do certain things at home because kids will always try to emulate, and yeah, they'll always try to look up to their parents first. That's their first inspiration, so we want to set that good example.
Have you noticed like your eating habits and things like that? Even I know you mentioned initially like you don't drink as much, all that stuff, but even eating at home, has that changed?
My eating's always been pretty good. The only thing
Okay,
is I
so
have a sweet tooth, so like I'm eating a lot of sugar. I don't eat it in front of him,
yeah.
and just so like if he sees me eating it, he'll want it too. So I usually eat it when I'm on my own. But that's still something I struggle with, just because yeah, I don't know. I get tempted pretty quickly with sugar, but I only treat myself when I know I ate the meals I'm supposed to, and I try to eat like 5, 6 times a day. So that sugar, whatever it is, it's a small percentage of what I eat daily. So I make sure it doesn't affect me too much. So in that sense, it hasn't improved, but overall eating has improved. Like I eat the same thing pretty much every day, and but here and there I'll go out eat out, restaurants, all that stuff. You
Like
guys
when you,
are pretty strict with your diet, I'm assuming.
well,
Yeah.
Ronit's on bodybuilding prep. So this guy is eating like chicken
Oh,
and rice, like not even chicken and rice
Yeah.
sometimes.
It's
This
just
guy, he's
joke.
pretty strict.
Yeah, just
I
early
wouldn't say
meals.
I'm as strict. I
Oh,
probably eat out maybe once a week, maybe a couple meals a week, if
Yeah.
that. But I usually track my stuff. I know most people don't like tracking. I like tracking just because like I can kind of fit the fun foods in if I need to and still be able to hit my targets. One of the things I want to ask you, a lot of times people with kids, like I've heard a lot of differing opinions in terms of the type of foods they eat. Is it mostly like whole foods? Because I know there's certain parents that will just give their kids like pretty shit food, like processed food, like yo, just eat chips, eat this, eat whatever, just kind of get them out of their way. What's your approach with that? How do you go about sort of making sure Adi is like eating the right foods or has that good relationship with food?
yeah, that's a good question. So I usually try to eat a healthy in front of him. He's good with fruits. Fruits is easy with kids most of the time. Um, but when I was a kid, I remember like all I ate was French fries. And at that age, you could have abs and eat stuff like that. The only thing I try to be careful with him is I try to avoid giving him sugar because kids and sugar is a bad mix. They get hyper, hard to control. So that's the only thing I'm careful with. But if he asks for, like right now, he's on nuggets, like he always wants nuggets. So instead of going to McDonald's, I go to A&W's and get chicken strips because the higher protein content. So in that way, like I try to sneak things in like that. But with food, I just try to avoid sugar with kids. That's the main thing. But everything else, like if he was to ask for something, sometimes I'll give it, sometimes I won't. But I don't really try to be too strict on that.
You don't give your kid a meal plan? That's crazy, bro. That's wild, man.
He's pretty good with food. He eats all like, yeah, I should be giving him a meal plan. That's a good idea.
Like, right? It sounds like the perfect age to get restrictive diet and build a good relationship with food, right?
Is gonna be traumatized for life. Don't do that.
Yeah. No, bro, I think one thing I want to kind of backtrack a little bit, and like this is something important because like you mentioned, okay, you struggle with sugar. And it's good for people to know it's like, yo, us trainers, like we struggle with things too. Just because we have like this fitness thing on lock on Instagram, right? People see the outside looking in. It's like, yo, these guys are jacked. They're always on point. They're like never having any like struggles, no issues, nothing, right? But it's like you have the same thing. So whenever you say like for example, like you had a long ass day, you train like, 11 hours straight, a lot of like therapy sessions during the day, right? All the people just talking, everything, the things you didn't want to hear about, you heard. And then now you get home and like, you just want to have like D spot or like you just want to have like a big ass bowl of like something sweet, right? But you know for a fact, okay, you haven't hit your meals for the day and you're not supposed to be hitting that. And you haven't like, I don't want to say earned it because that's not a good way of doing it. But like, how do you deal with that? Like, what are you doing that you give in or like, how often do you give in if you do give in? And how do you approach that situation? Yeah.
So I try to be transparent with my clients. Like they know I eat a lot of sugar, but the way I would do it is like I have my meals already set. I already know what I'm eating tomorrow, the day after, so on and so forth. So I'll never eat something that I shouldn't be unless I ate everything I'm supposed to. And when that does happen, I won't just buy like a chocolate bar from a gas station. Like it wouldn't be something like that. Like I make sure it's worth it. So like I don't keep stuff at home. I don't buy things from like shoppers or like gas station. It has to be something specific. Like let's say a donut. I went and had like the donuts all over Toronto, like to make to have to pretty much find the best one. And because I've had that, when I go to Tim Hortons, for example, there's nothing there that would entice me to try it. So like it helps me in that sense. So I'm honest like that. I tell them like this, I do eat this things like the sugary stuff, things we're not supposed to, but I try to limit myself. And yeah, I wouldn't say earn it either, like how you're saying, but I would say if I know I eat what I'm supposed to, I might like indulge here and there. It's guilt free. Like I don't feel bad. I don't like hate myself because and I try to do it later in the day only because like if I have it earlier in the day, I'm gonna have other cravings later on, just because like my blood sugar level will spike, and then I'll try to like look for things similar to that. So I try to make it in a way where if they do have those kind of cravings, try to be considerate and use like small amounts, or try to keep it later in the day where you won't go looking for more. So I try to give them options, or like have a day where they can eat something that they shouldn't be. Like usually weekends, a lot of my clients on the weekends, they have drinks, they eat out. a lot of calories. So like those things I tell them, like I prepare them for that. I say, make sure, you're going out Saturday night, make sure your breakfast, your lunch, all that is on point. When you go out Saturday night, you won't feel so bad. You don't have to think about it. And then the next day, jump back on what you're supposed to be doing. And that usually works with them. A lot of them jump right back in. So yeah, try to not to make it too big of an issue. Kind of downplay it.
Normalize it. Like it's
Um,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, that's wicked. Bro, I think I just took the biggest gem ever. So, um, you had such good donuts in your Toronto area that you don't even crave Timmy donuts, right? So the takeaway from that is, it's like if you're craving food per se, right? You go to a really sick restaurant and like you said, it's like worth it. You have that good food that on a day-to-day basis when you pass like fast food restaurants, you don't even crave that because you know, oh damn, like other so those ones are like, okay, I'm not gonna go to that restaurant right now. So you end up sticking to your meals. That's like
Yeah.
a so you
That's
just
a
have like
hack.
this, right?
Yeah,
That's a hack, bro.
I
So like
like that.
you just know like these good foods. You're like, yo, why would I have waste my whatever energy or food even on this when I
Yeah.
know like this is available to me at the end of the week maybe or whatever the way you structure it. That's fine. That's wicked, bro.
Yeah,
I
I
even
think
thought
it's
about that.
like I think we were talking about this earlier, Rounit, where it's like, yo, if I'm going out to eat, I'll go try out different places where
Yeah.
like different cuisines I never had before. I'm like, if I'm gonna cheat on my diet, like I don't want to get like McDonald's. It's like it is what it is, but I'm like I'm gonna go out and have like some good food where I'm trying different foods, where I'm trying different cuisines. I'm like, obviously I'm gonna keep it healthy for the most part, but sometimes like I'll have like I'm a pretty big dessert guy too. Like if there's dessert in front of my face, like I'm not gonna say no to it, but like I'm gonna make sure it's worth when I'm going out of my way to go have that instead of just like going to Shoppers and grabbing a candy bar, like you said, because like that's like a very like cheap temporary pleasure, whereas like this might be a little bit more fulfilling per se because it's just worth it, right? So I
Yeah.
think yeah, making sure the calories are worth it are a big one for sure. Um, when it comes to like just getting activity for people outside of the gym, what do you typically recommend? How do you say someone go about like I don't know how often your clients are training with you, whether it's 2 or 3 times a week, but like I think we all know that just training in the gym isn't enough. They need to also make changes outside of that. What do you typically recommend in terms of what someone should do outside of the gym? Where do you kind of start off from there?
So that I base it on their lifestyle, how they're trained, how their day to day is. So I have clients who come here 5 times a week, and for them, I tell them you don't even need to do anything outside of the gym other than the eating. But the ones that come, let's say once or twice a week, I I encourage them and pretty much tell them you need to at least work out another 2 3 times on your own, so you learn it yourself. But I usually recommend people to train at least 3 times a week, spread it out if you have to. There's splits you can do that, cover everything. And if you're not into training, you got to find something that you're able to do that'll help strengthen your body. So I have a lot of athletes that come through also, and some of them play, for example, they'll play basketball once a week, 2 hours, or twice a week, 2 hours, and that's fine. But when you're playing basketball at a certain age, let's say you're 35, there's a higher chance of injury. Um, you might be burning a lot of calories, but you have to be eating too, like properly to like support what you're doing. And if you're only doing that once a week or twice a week, the other days ends up, you could be hurting yourself by not following certain things or not being as active. So try to get them to do something where it could be spread out more evenly. Because once or twice a week, it's still good, but it's still better than nothing. But you have to do more. It's not enough. And
You some people probably be like, hey bro, like I can't go on walks or I can't do anything else in the week because I'm busy or whatever, right? Is there any like because you mentioned some nice hacks, like the tuna was a nice hack, the best donut shops was a sick hack. The activity, so like movement throughout the day. Are there any certain things you recommend? It's like, hey, just do this throughout your job during the day, or if you're working from home, or if you're at home, any ways you can integrate movement throughout the day?
yeah, so if someone says time is an issue, I'll tell them, just keep 20 minutes aside, go to a park, do like a light jog, and then do a quick 10-second sprint and do that 3 times. And that's more than enough. Like surprisingly, sprinting does so much for our body, our lower body, we burn a lot of calories. Even once you're done sprinting and you're going home, your adrenaline's still pumping, you're still burning calories. That's a quick way where if you're on a time restraint, it's a good quick way to get it. If they're not able to do that, like some people can't sprint just because they're not able to. For them, I would say, start with something simple like keep push-ups, push-ups, and then build up, add push-ups, and then maybe like squats, lunges. All these things can be done at home. You don't need fancy gym or equipment. You don't need a trainer. Like these things can be just done at home, and it gets your heart going. It gets your heart rate up. You can still see results if your diet is clean, and you can always make it more challenging. Like instead of regular push-ups, you could do wide stance or close grip or have your feet elevated. There's so many different things you could do just from one type of workout. So, try to encourage them to work out at home, find a way, because it doesn't necessarily need to be, get ready, go leave to a gym, start working out there, come back home. Like I know how it could take a lot of time, and a lot of people don't have that time. So try to make it a home, like try to encourage them to work out at home.
Even like movement, like I know when I was in accounting, I used to do this where like midday at the lunchtime, whatever, I go for a walk outside after like eating food. Or like I parked my car as far as possible whenever I was entering the office, and that way I have to walk all the way into the office or whatever, extra steps, even grocery stores, just like parking really far. I've been looking into like walking pads. I haven't gotten one yet. But I think walking pads if you're like working like an office job and stuff. It can be a nice. I think you need like a standing desk for it though. But that's a nice little thing if someone wants to make an investment in it. Just because you can get whatever your steps in at least, and like the most lowest hanging fruit, right? At least start get walking more. Especially winter time's coming, right? I think that's when people fall off or they're like, oh, I can't go outside. It's too cold. Can't get my movement in. Some people are crazy still, probably just do sprints in the snow still, right? But yeah, walking paths, stuff like that. Even like walking between your sets at the gym if you end up doing sessions yourself. Yeah, those are some nice ways of getting more movement in too, right?
100%, yeah.
Nah, bro. So one of the biggest things I think I wrote down here, um, was what was the best donut shop in Toronto that you've been to?
Have you guys heard of Daddios? Might be closer to your area.
I'm not.
Oh,
That is. Okay, so,
Daddios. Also, like it's a vegan one. It's called Bloomers. Yeah, Bloomers.
okay, sick.
Vegan.
Yeah, it's vegan, but it's bomb.
Okay, sick. Bloomers and Daddios. Okay. I'm just making a list, bro. So like I'm on this like diet thing, right? I've been taking my oatmeal everywhere, like a barbecue, a birthday party, and like it was just straight. I've just been on a hike and like I just have like my chicken and like broccoli or whatever it is. Actually, I don't do broccoli anymore. Messed up digestion. But lettuce, right? So now I have a list of all these places I want to go to and just eat some good food. So I'll put Daddios and Bloomers on there. Donut shop. Yeah.
You won't be disappointed. And after you have that, you probably wouldn't care for Tim Hortons donuts.
Yeah. Okay. Sick. I know Kags too. He loves food too. So like he probably has different dessert options in his arsenal.
Dude,
Yeah.
I will go with whatever is available. But I'm a big ice cream guy. I'm a big cake guy as well. This is those
Yeah.
two things. Is if it's in my house, I know it's wraps. Like I can't have it in the house at all.
Were you
So
eating
I
drumsticks
can't
at
have
one point? Yeah.
oh, my mom kept buying drumstick ice cream and keeping it in the house, and I kept telling her, I was like, you can't have this. And she would just go to Costco, buy like the 24 pack. I'm like, I'm the only one that's gonna eat this. She's like, where'd the ice cream go? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Just like
Yeah.
scratch my butt and be like, that's
Did you see the video where they showed that it doesn't melt, those drumsticks? It's not real ice cream.
oh no, it's not real ice cream.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't melt.
It's like
Oh,
a ice cream. I think on the packaging, it's like a dessert
Dessert snack.
frozen something product. Same thing
Dessert
with Dairy
snack.
Queen as well. Dairy Queen is not ice cream
Yeah.
because like the amount of cream that they use or whatever is not in compliance with what it would need to be called ice cream. So it's like a
really?
dessert, like different.
What?
If
That's
you look at the
wild.
names of all these things, like some of them, like they're not called like ice cream or whatever. It's like dairy product or dessert product. So
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
even chocolate bar, it's called candy bar. It's not even considered chocolate.
Because if you made actual cocoa, whatever, it'd be too like sour, right? It won't be as sweet. Or what's
I
the?
think there's
I think they're just not using what they're supposed to make it chocolate. So and the sugar content is so high they have to call it candy bar. That's
yeah.
my assumption.
That's
There's like
wild.
the government puts certain regulations And like most of the time, like you don't even think about it. Like you
Yeah,
see like
I didn't even know.
dairy milk or whatever, you just
Yeah,
assume chocolate, but like
that's
oh
wild.
yeah.
Okay, so full circle. I think we had a good amount of parent talk, kids talk, right? And how to get, the South Asian community just to get into the fitness, keep it simple. And you mentioned a bunch of hacks, right? So, like the tuna hack, do you have any other things that you recommend? Because like diet is obviously gonna be number one. That
Mhm.
like, and you notice this online too. Every time like you post like diet stuff, right? People go crazy. It's like, oh, share, save, and that gets maybe the most attention. Because diet is something I find it's like a blessing because you can actually control it. Like all of us have, it's daily controllable. You can't go to the gym, whatever you can control what you put into your mouth. So like I know you mentioned the tuna thing or the starting off with one meal at a time. What are some other things you integrate with your clients? The quick summary, like 5 top things that I tell my clients. It's like a hook, bro, for a content for Instagram. Like I don't like 4 to 5 things that people integrate and they see like okay, it compounds month by month. What are some things like that?
So I start off with day. So when I wake up, start off with a glass of water and half a teaspoon of sea salt.
Sick.
That gives like you feel the energy. You don't even need coffee when you drink that. Simple too. You could do it
Yeah.
right away. It doesn't take time. Secondly, I always say eggs. Eggs is proven like it's been eaten for years. It's not something that might work or might not. It will work. It's high protein. Start your day off with that. So one would
Excellent.
be water, two would be eggs, three types of snacks. So like snacks is a big issue with a lot of people. So Greek yogurt, it's an easy way to get protein and like you can sweeten it the way you want. If you buy, natural plain Greek yogurt, just add like the fruits you like. You can add honey, granola butt pieces, and that too, the protein content is pretty high. So that's three. Another two. Um, so tuna, yeah, that's one. Also the sardine from Costco. A lot of people hate sardine. It
Interesting.
smells, but it's inexpensive like tuna. It's quick to eat. And the one specifically from Costco, it's tasteless. So as much as it smells, when you're eating it, you don't really taste anything. And it's over 40 grams of protein. And I think it's like 8 for $16. Like, you can't beat those prices. And I usually finish that's what I have usually at night before bed, sardine with cucumber. Cucumber also a good way to end the night. It's hydrating, so we get dehydrated during our sleep. We wake up dehydrated. When you have cucumber before bed, it kind of hydrates you throughout the night. And when you wake up, you almost feel like refreshed, as if you just washed your face. So especially people who wear contacts. My clients who wear contacts, when they start eating cucumber at night, they don't wake up with dry eyes as much. Yeah, it makes
Really?
a huge difference. And I guess that's why a lot of people put cucumber in their eyes while they're
Yeah.
mask. Probably the same idea, but I know that one works well. So yeah, those are the 5 things I would recommend.
Damn.
Those are wicked, bro. Okay. There's a lot of value. So like yeah, so those are all actionable. Like literally everyone can apply. Let's start with the sea salt water, have some eggs, tuna, sardines, cucumbers, put it on your eyes and eat them, like whatever you want. Or like put it on your eyes and eat them after, whatever works for the person. But yeah, there's those straight hacks, man. Any so anything else like you want to say like people who are getting into fitness health wise, any major things you commonly see? Anything you want to mention that maybe we didn't ask that you wanted to bring up?
I always tell people like don't try to follow fads.
Yeah.
If you're just going into strength training, if your goal is gaining or losing or cutting, whatever, you want to always be uh, eating the right foods. Don't starve yourself. Because a lot of people think, if you starve yourself, you're losing weight. It just hits you back later on because your metabolism could slow down. So I would always tell them, focus on leg strength. Take care of your legs. Everything else comes easy. Whether your goal is to gain mass or cut weight, if you have a strong leg workout, you get to your goals a lot quicker. And never neglect legs. What else? Core strength, also put an importance on that. Everything gets easier from like pull-ups, push-ups, pushing weight. All that gets easier when you have a strong core. You don't necessarily have to do, 100 sit-ups or things like that, but try to incorporate core whenever you do work out. Yeah, those are like small tips I would say, to focus on for anyone, whether you're beginner or expert. Like those are the things that matter.
Yeah.
And then you'll see good results. It's just being consistent and believing in it and sticking to your plan.
So that's a great summary, but I just want to touch on the core because a lot of people, like you mentioned it yourself, 100 sit-ups. That's what people think as core, stabilizing or whatever it is. So like, what would be like a couple exercises people can implement right away to get their core stronger?
So I like to do a lot of core workouts with hanging, only because it helps with posture. And when I say core, I mean like lower back, abs, side,
There
like
you go.
everything. So that's why hanging is one of the best things you could do, like hanging knee raises, for example. It's
Sick.
doable if you're able to hang. You'll see good results. You're strengthening your core. You're also work like your posture can improve. It shifts your shoulder back. So something as simple as hanging could do a lot for your body, and it happens pretty quickly. Like if you stick to it under a month, you'll see differences in posture. You don't need those devices that they make now where it forces you to sit up.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's probably one of the best things you could do. Or the ab wheel. You guys ever use the ab wheel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's
So
tough.
good.
Yeah,
That's tough. You gotta like progress your way up to that. Maybe like start with like a dead bug or a plank and then work your way up,
that's
right?
true.
But yeah, hang 100%. Bro, there's a lot of value, man. There's a lot of like literally if someone just applies those last like 3, 4 minutes, they'll get pretty jacked, man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right? But yeah, bro, where can people like find your stuff? I know obviously in-person gym. I don't know if you know, yeah, you can share the location. What's the Instagram? Is there a website? Are you on like TikTok dancing too? If not, totally fine. But like what's the sauce? Where can people connect?
So most of the stuff is on social media, on Instagram. I haven't really been active. I'm probably the worst at social media, but I post when I can. Lately, it's been like once a month, maybe.
Hmm.
But Instagram is Zeus_VIII. So in Roman numerals 8. What else? You can find me. My gym's located in Scarborough on 3875 McNichol, second floor. You guys could come by anytime too. It'll be nice to
Sick.
get a workout in. Are
Yeah.
you guys ever in Scarborough? Probably
Not not that often. Unless I'm going to Martin's Bakery with the boys. Probably not coming down. We'll try and drop by
Yeah,
soon.
we'll try to drop by.
But
Yeah.
next week I might actually have a barbecue. Like we're still planning it. It's a struggle
Okay.
planning things for me, but
I was gonna
we
say
do have one next week. I'll send you guys an invite. So
Yes,
hopefully you guys can make it if you're free.
that'd be sick. Everyone listening can come too, right? No?
Not
Maybe?
just you.
Okay, all
sir.
right.
No, it's open
I,
to the public. Anyone
I
can come.
tried. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, wicked, bro. Any last words, Kags? Any last words?
No, thank you, Ganesh, for taking the time, bro.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing, and hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you guys got some value from this, please share it with one other person to make sure you're not stealing the gains from them as well. So make sure you're sharing the gains, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
Wicked.
guys. See ya.